Hitler's order to conquer Europe. Poland was the first target, but the German Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War, was soon sweeping across Europe. The Blitzkrieg depended on Enigma. Radio messages coded and decoded by Enigma gave the thousands of daily commands necessary to keep the armies on the move. These screaming Stuka dive bombers could be called to attack targets only yards away from the advancing German troops. Battlefields on which tens of thousands had died to gain a few yards in World War I were crossed in a morning. The French army, the largest in Europe, just fell apart. And Paris was occupied in 34 days. The ceasefire was signed by Hitler at Compiègne in the very railway carriage in which the Germans had surrendered in 1918. Now it was the French who were totally humiliated, while the Germans exalted. Meanwhile, in Washington, still officially neutral, isolation was giving way to fear of war. Government buildings were now guarded night and day. And the terrible news from Europe was matched by events in the Pacific, where Japan was openly threatening U.S. interests. In 1938, the secret recording machines began to intercept a new Japanese cipher that the Washington codebreakers could not crack. They called it Purple.
Of course, we were collaborating with the Navy at that time, and both of us were very anxious to get right onto this new machine, this thing that we early on named Purple. And we had some success with it in the first weeks, but not enough to allow us a full solution of it.
Friedman's small team was ordered to drop everything and concentrate on breaking the Purple cipher. Frank Rowlett, a key team member, recalls just how difficult the assignment was.
All we had was pen and paper and a calculator. One of these desk-type things with 9 rows of keys, 10 columns wide or something like that.
But those primitive methods would have taken decades. So the team modified 3 punch card tabulators to perform like computers. They had them running 24 hours a day, trying out possible solutions to the Japanese Purple messages they had intercepted. Their aim was to find out enough about the Japanese ciphers to build a replica of the Japanese machine. A seemingly impossible task made all the more difficult by the complexities of the Japanese language itself, a language that few Americans could then speak.
Well, the language is so foreign, if you forgive the expression, to non-Orientals. It's a completely different concept of pictographs, basically pictures representing words and ideas. And it's difficult. In order to read a Japanese paper, for example, one should know at least 2,000 and preferably 3,000 characters. Once the concept is achieved, then there's the business, the mechanical memorization of these characters. They can be everything from a simple one-stroke character, the word one is just one stroke, up to characters that have as many as 30 strokes within one character. Very, very complex.
And in trying to translate these messages, there was the problem of the frequent Japanese use of homonyms, words which sound the same but have totally different meanings.
A good example is the word that is now name of a popular watch, a Japanese-made watch, Seiko, S-E-I-K-O. It's made up of 2 characters, and offhand I can think of 4 or 5 different meanings, totally different meanings. In addition to the watch name, there is a word Seiko, which means success. There's a word starlight, a steel manufacturer, a sexual intercourse is one meaning of Seiko, a perfume as another one, and a resort to a dictionary would yield another 10 or 12 more, totally different characters.
Friedman's small team toiled on through 1939 and into 1940 in room 3416 of the munitions building on Constitution Avenue. They knew the Japanese had German Enigma machines, but that wasn't the answer. William Friedman drove himself relentlessly trying to find out how the Japanese machine worked. Time and time again, he came to a dead end. After 18 months of unrelenting pressure, his health was broken. But by then, he and his team had cracked the mystery. The answer has never been revealed before. The secret to purple was not mechanical rotors like Enigma, but electrical relays of the sort available in any telephone exchange. Relays translated the movements of the telephone dial into electrical pulses and could make and break electric contact with great speed. Armed with this information, they built this machine to break Japanese purple ciphers. It remains 50 years later, under guard, in a secret government warehouse in Maryland. It consists basically of two electric typewriters. Into one was typed the Japanese enciphered message. The electrical impulses then passed through a 26-position plug board, which had to be reset every day, and through an electrical maze created by the rapid movements of the stepping relays. The Japanese plain text ready for translation appeared on the second typewriter. Amazingly, Friedman's team recreated this machine simply by analyzing the intercepted messages. In August 1940, Rowlett and the engineer Leo Rosen had the machine ready.
I was working with Rosen. This was about 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night because we wanted to finish this thing. We'd waited so long for it. We just couldn't wait any longer. And so I got a message. And we set up the machine to the indicator, and I started typing. And the first few groups, the first 3 or 4 that I typed in the machine came out beautifully on the other end. The Japanese plain text that we knew, because we'd solved the message by hand earlier, had to come out. And then all of a sudden the machine stopped operating. And after a little puzzle about it, Rosen concluded that we had failed to put in relay that was needed, a condenser over the relay points that was needed for the master relay. And so we got hold of one of those, and he installed it, and lo and behold, it worked just like a charm from then on. So we were ready to demonstrate it to the chief signal officer next morning, and also to Friedman and General Lakin, and the others who were in the chain of command that were interested in what we were doing.
And what was their reaction?
Amazement and great pleasure.
William Friedman's achievement has been shrouded in secrecy. Only now is his full contribution being recognized.
He was probably the most brilliant cryptanalyst we've ever seen. He engendered theoretical ideas which took cryptography out of its kind of primitive land into the new world of statistical analysis in a very sophisticated way. He led and organized and directed and inspired the team that, using some of his techniques, cracked the Japanese purple cipher machine, which was quite possibly the greatest feat of cryptanalysis the world had ever seen.
The breaking of purple allowed American intelligence to read all top-grade Japanese government traffic, including messages between Tokyo and Japanese embassies around the world. The Japanese ambassador in Berlin, Baron Oshima, was a close friend of Hitler, and he became an unwitting spy at Hitler's dinner table when all of his reports to Tokyo in the purple cipher were also read in Washington and passed on to London. As 1941 came to a close, top U.S. officials had a constant flow of secret information. But though they gained much vital intelligence, the codebreakers still had not penetrated another vital Japanese code called JN-25. Washington